Investors hand over cash to a trust. Later, fraud and mismanagement put the investors' returns at risk. A court, acting through its power of equity, steps in to supervise and protect the investors' interests. But the violations that led the court to step in are now resolved. How long can a court continue to supervise under its equitable powers? In Bailey v. Proctor, a litigant presses the court to declare time's up. The Aldred Investment Trust was an investment vehicle formed in the 1920s. The trust issued debentures. These debt instruments operated like loans. Investors handed over funds to Aldred in exchange for a fixed interest payment of 4.5% until the maturity date, at which point the principal would be repaid. The debentures were attached to common shares of the trust corporation. The trust's capital structure left shareholders and debenture holders at odds. Debenture holders were in it for a dependable investment. In exchange for their $6 million outlay, they wanted steady, fixed interest payments. Meanwhile, the controlling shareholders, who'd invested just $150,000, had complete control in investing the trust assets. With little personal risk, controlling shareholders could gamble on speculative investments. If their investments were winners, they'd pay a small sum of fixed interest to the debenture holders and pocket the remaining huge returns. By contrast, if their speculative investments went horribly wrong, the controlling shareholders had just $150,000 to lose, a tiny sum compared to the debenture holders' outlay. The structure utilized by the Aldred Trust was considered so abusive that it was later prohibited by federal law. The trust assets declined in value, and the trust became insolvent. Gordon Hanlon bought a controlling stake in the trust at auction. At Hanlon's direction, the trust made a new speculative investment in a racetrack. Hanlon abused his power, engaging in fraud and self-dealing. At the request of the Securities Exchange Commission, the district court exercised its equitable powers. It entered an injunction removing Hanlon and placing the trust in a receivership to protect investors. The receiver, a court-appointed official, would either reorganize or liquidate the trust. Then, Frank Bailey purchased a controlling interest in the trust. The racetrack investment wildly increased in value, and suddenly the trust was solvent again. Bailey was motivated to avoid liquidation because federal law now prohibited creating a similar trust. The district court then ordered the receiver to liquidate the trust. Bailey appealed to the First Circuit.